welcome to the new episode of the Ball Boys Podcast Show. I'm your host today, Alexa Matevich, and with me today I have my good friend Caleb. Caleb, how are you doing today?
Good, Alexa. It's good to kind of switch things up here and have you kind of take the reins. We're going to try to make this a little more conversational. I think we both feel like when we do these, it's kind of just been us interviewing each other. So we're going to try to make them a little better here. We'll see how it goes. But it's good to be back. Just a lot of stuff to talk about today. And so I'm excited to get into it. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Another week. Good went. Everything was fine.
Midterms. We're 8 weeks. We're 8 weeks in. Today was the last day of the 8th week, so we're halfway through.
But let's get in, Caleb. And we're going to start with NFL today. And the first big news that happened yesterday was the Chiefs releasing their both good offensive tackles in Eric Fisher and Shorts. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it was really interesting, Alexa, because we came on here on this podcast right after the Super Bowl when we were recapping everything, and we said, look, the Chiefs' offensive line, terrible in that game. And really, it's been terrible all year, but you look at the injuries they had leading into the Super Bowl, and they just had, they were depleted. And they were already, and like I said, they were already depleted as was. And, now that they're getting rid of these, and I understand you gotta create cap space, and you gotta find a way to get under that cap because it was lowered even more. I think it's at 182 million.
Something like that.
Is it? Mm-hmm. So, and it was shocking to me that you're going to release two tackles, one of which being a number one overall pick. I don't know if you saw this stat, Alexa. I think every number one overall pick before like 2016 now isn't on the team that drafted them. So the last number one overall pick to be on the team that drafted him was it's like Myles Garrett now. Mm-hmm. And so just a crazy stat with Fisher getting released. And I did see they restructured Mahomes his contract a little bit to free up some cap space, but it's just really crazy that we're at this point where teams are having to make, and you're seeing it all around the league, teams are having to make these kinds of moves and cut good players. But as far as the Chiefs go, I would think they're going to draft some offensive linemen, and you're going to have to address the tackle position right away.
I agree with you, Caleb, but they will have to draft offensive line early in the draft, first, second round, because this team lost two of their best offensive tackles in one day, especially Eric Fisher, who was always dominant, and Schwartz, who was always there. They just got to figure out, and I really like the moves from Mahomes to restructure, be like, hey, listen, I want the team to be successful, and now they can make some moves and help him and help the defense too.
Yeah, you bring up a good point when you talk about Mahomes restructuring his deal. That's one of the things Tom Brady gets applauded for. Over his career is restructuring his contract. Big Ben did it this year. If they make their money, there's no doubt about it. But it shows you how committed some of these quarterbacks are. That they want to win a ring, and it means a lot that they would restructure their deals like that. And it's not much, it's really not much at all. But it matters in trying to create a roster around them. And the Chiefs are going to have to get better. Everybody thought they were the powerhouse last year, but their flaws showed in the Super Bowl, so they're going to have to get better, no doubt. Now, what kind of falls into this is the Patriots, because they made some moves this week. So what are your thoughts on what they did this week? Kind of run us through how the Patriots kind of went about their pre-free agency proceedings.
I really like what the Patriots did. They're one of the teams with most cap space in whole NFL. And they can make a lot of moves to get back right on the championship level as they were before. Resigning Cam Newton today, I think that was a great thing. He knows the system. He knows the Bill Belichick system. And last year, they didn't have any good tight ends, any receivers, or anything on their offense. And I really think with cap space, they can benefit. Add Cam a nice tight end, receiver. And I really think they can be a wild card team in NFL, in AFC.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And then also, I'll ask you this too, because this is your boy Tom Brady. For those of you who don't know, and Steelers fans would be delighted to know. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but I think fans of the Ball Boys podcast would be shocked to know that Mr. Alexa Matevich himself ordered a Tom Brady Buccaneers hoodie that should be arriving with his family tomorrow.
Yes.
Before we get into the Tom Brady contract, explain yourself, because I want the audience to hear what I've been hearing for the past month about it.
All right. So I've been not a Brady fan. He hurts the Steelers the most.
He hurts a lot of teams in the NFL. I mean,
well.
yeah. So let's just not put the Steelers as the only one. It's everybody, which makes this all the more frustrating and mind blowing. We keep going.
But I gained respect to him when he came to new system, new team,
No offseason.
no off season, nothing. He came in, embraced it, and was ready to work and worked hard, and did what he did best. And he has respect to everybody out there, because I don't think you'll ever see another quarterback ever do what he's doing in long time.
So that's why you decided to go online and proceed to order a Tom Brady hoodie,
Yes.
one of those short sleeve hoodies. Man, I mean, I'll never let you live that one down. I don't look forward to seeing you walking around wearing that on the Ball State grounds. But thanks for that, Alexa. I think, now we can put the judgment in the hands of the fans. So now, since you're the Mr. Tom Brady expert here, give us your thoughts on him signing an extension today.
I like it. Bucks now can survive one more off season, because the team he's built around Brady, and if he would have gone after next year, that team would be rebuilding again on offense, finding new quarterback and stuff. So I really like the signing. Listen, he can win another Super Bowl next year and another one after that. He has the offensive line that fight for him. He has good receivers. He has good tight ends, and he has a defense that steps up in huge times. And that's the key. It's not about him, it's about a team. And that team is filled up with talent. And he realized, hey, I want to keep adding the rings. And I like the deal with him for doing that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think everything you said is valid. I agree with it 100%. It feels like the Buccaneers have done a great job kind of managing this offseason after a Super Bowl. It doesn't feel like they're getting any worse. It feels like they're going to be right back as a contender next year. So I'm really, impressed. For the longest time, I feel like I've always looked at Tampa Bay as kind of a dysfunctional franchise and not very well run. But the minute Tom Brady gets in your headquarters, you're gonna kind of fix things, and things are gonna shape up a bit. And it feels like that they're taking care of business. They franchise tag Chris Godwin. We'll see what they do with Shaq Barrett. That'll be interesting. He'll be someone that a lot of teams will be looking at for sure. But it just feels like they're gonna be right back where they were. And Tom Brady, like we said, with Mahomes restructuring his deal, it's kind of like, how bad do you want to win? And I really love when quarterbacks do that, because it really shows their commitment. So I love that. Let's move to the NBA now. A couple things. Blake Griffin first. Look, I don't know what he's going to be. I really don't. I have no idea how good he's going to be on the Nets. But I swear to God, if he starts catching alley-oops again, I think you and me both can agree that we'll both be storming the NBA offices and telling them that this is not okay. Because he hasn't dunked, Alexa, since 2019. That's an actual stat. He has not thrown down a dunk. The former slam dunk contest champion, Lob City member, has not thrown down a dunk since 2019. So if this was a part of his plan to somehow get his way out of Detroit by playing like booty cheeks for a whole year, I'm just gonna be outraged, because I will just not be happy. Your thoughts on what this means for the rest of the league and what your expectations are for Blake?
I agree with you. First, I think he did kind of play really bad to get out of Detroit, because no disrespect to Detroit, but I don't think they have any inspiration winning championship. And for a guy like Blake, he wants to win one because he's getting in that age of, I'm running out of my time for one. If he gets cooking, it's over, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, maybe in the East. We'll see if they can win the ring. But, I mean, their whole lineup is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
KD, Kyrie MVPs.
Like KD ain't even playing right now.
I mean, not even Kyrie. It's James Harden. Sorry.
KD he ain't even playing right now. It's wild. It's wild, Alexa. It's scary.
It doesn't even matter who's on the bench, really, because at one time on the floor you have KD, Kyrie. Next time you'll have James Harden and Blake Griffin and Jordan, and just be rotation like that. So good luck stopping that.
And we saw last night the Celtics played a hell of a game for the better part of 46 minutes. We're with them the whole way, and felt like they were playing so great, and they could never get a big lead, and then that's one. This isn't on our schedule, Alexa, but before we shift the conversation, what are your thoughts on Steph Curry last night? I don't know if you saw the clip. He kind of got frustrated with his teammates. James Wiseman also got benched until the fourth quarter in a blowout loss versus the Clippers. And what are your thoughts on the Steph Curry situation? Because I think it's interesting. He's basically all they got this year. And I think maybe talk more about what the Warriors see. Is it really worth it, in your opinion, for them to make the playoffs as an 8 or 7 seed? Or should they just kind of mail in the rest of this year and get another pick until Klay comes back next year?
Let's start with Steph Curry. I think the reason he is mad is because he knows that team can play. And when you get blown like that, you really hate to see it. And the guy who won championship, best shooter out there, he doesn't want to be part of that. And I don't blame him. He knows his teammates can do better, and he just wants to express that to them. And I don't think they should fight for 7th, 8th seed, because they will lose first round. They will get like pick 16, 17. It's not worth it. Get in a high lottery pick, keep it, draft if you can get Cunningham from Oklahoma State, go for it, and you'll have another high pick if Minnesota pick is not top 3.
Yep.
So you can trade those picks and maybe get an all-star player.
So, or use them too. You can always use them. You got a lot of good players coming out of this year's draft.
And we don't know. Klay hasn't played full 2 years. Well, he's going to be when he comes back. I just think Curry is also mad that Klay's not out there, because he knows that team will be way different than they're showing right now. But let's shift the conversation to NBA trade deadline. We're seeing so many rumors out there, Caleb. What is one rumor that you see and you're thinking, I really think that can happen?
Well, I don't know if I have one that I really think can happen, but there was conversation about one player that I really hated, and I didn't want to happen. So, obviously, I do follow the Lakers a lot. I'm a LeBron guy. Everybody knows that. There's no surprise. But there was conversation last week about PJ Tucker for Montrezl Harrell. And to me, that was on Lakers Twitter, right? And I love a lot of the personalities I follow on Lakers Twitter. They're funny guys. They know the game. But the guy who brought it up, I'm just sitting there do you watch Laker games? Montrezl Harrell has been he's just been really, really good for that team. He does it all. He's the scrappy guy. And I think he's a perfect fit for that roster. And I was just kind of baffled that they would want to trade him after what he's done so far this year. I feel like he's had a great year. Him and Dennis Schroeder in the pick and roll off the bench. I mean, I know there's better pick and roll combos in the league, obviously, but off the bench, they when they're on the floor together, it's phenomenal. So, I mean, to kind of ruin that, I was like, what is going on? I don't know what to expect from this year's trade deadline, Alexa. I mean, because a lot of teams are probably worried about protocol, getting them in, having it to take time, all that stuff. I mean, the Andre Drummond, the Toronto rumors have been there all year. As a Cavs fan, I would like to see Drummond go because we're not making it anywhere, and he's not our center of the future. So I think really anywhere, if I had to say, one thing I would like to see, it'd be to see Drummond traded, but we'll see if that even happens. I don't know. What about you? Because the Mavericks, they could be buyers at the deadline and try to go get somebody. But don't just talk Mavericks here. Talk about what else you've seen that you liked.
I agree with you. They shouldn't trade Harrell because he's that guy that a lot of teams hate for a specific reason because he brings that energy.
Yep.
and there's a lot of teams out there that will want him, but Lakers should just keep him. And I understand that PJ Tucker, yes, he has experience, yes, he's a good defender, but not for him. If Lakers want to add him, maybe somebody else. But like you mentioned, for the Mavs could be a buyers. But I really do not know who they should go out there. Should you go for an all-star? Like, should you... They don't have picks to trade until 2025 first round. Should you maybe, like, not pull a panic mode, but should you try getting, like, a borderline all-star? Or do you just make, like, one simple addition to help you off the bench? I've seen rumors Mavericks were interested in two particular Cavs players, Kevin Love and Larry Nance. And I'm really high on both of them, and I really think Dallas should try getting both of them. But I don't think Mavs have the chance of getting both of them.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting with Kevin Love. He's getting paid a lot of money, been hurt a lot. Don't really know where he's at in his career. But Larry Nance, always been a fan favorite of mine since he came to the Cavs in 2018. But all right, Alexa, this is gonna be kind of a thing we do. So I know we already do rant session. That's coming up later. But you're gonna give your NHL rundown. Just kind of round up the league, what's been going on. And then I'm going to run through some NCAA basketball stuff because it is that time of year. And next week on the podcast, I haven't told you this. This is putting you on the spot. But we're going to do an NCAA bracket kind of special on here where we give our picks, give our insight. But for now, I'll get into the NCAA a little bit here in a second. I got a lot of thoughts on that. So run me through what's going on in the NHL. Because my favorite team, the Blue Jackets, made a trade today. I know it's kind of two no-name guys, but kind of perked my interest in the NHL.
All right, let's start in with the Blue Jackets. It was a simple trade. They traded away a goalie for a defender. I really think it was just to get a depth piece because they're in a competition for a playoff. So just really, and you can never go wrong with too many defenders because one night you can get hurt like Penguins having. And funny thing about it, in like last 3 years, full Penguins rotation only played 12 games together because they've been injured. So it never hurts to add a piece of defender in your team. But let's start with Capitals here. Not a huge fan of them because they're a great team. Let's start with that. They're a great team. Ovechkin.
They still have TJ. I was gonna say Oshie.
Chara, who's been there for like last 20 years. He's now first year in them. Tom Wilson's talented. Kuznetsov's talented. Rana's talented. Holby, their goaltender, they're a good team, but they're
spit it out.
I don't even know how you say it, but what they're showing is they're a really dirty team. They have all this talent, and you have Tom Wilson out there going out hurting players. You have Chara last night. He did get cross-check. Listen, I understand that. But he started it first, so he needs to embrace it and be like a man and take punishment because you slapped somebody first. He's got to slap you back. Don't cry. Like, accept it. Oshie's not there. They're not that team, and they're trying to be something that they're not, and this is what I really hate. They should just play their game. They're talented. Don't be a dirty team because that's not who you are. And also, to wrap it up, Penguins have been on an amazing win streak. Listen, remember the guy showed you they look like Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
He's been tearing it up lately.
And by the way, throw out his name because if the audience was to go look at it, like he looks like Joe Burrow. What's his name again?
Kasperi Kapanen.
So his name. If you know how to spell that, just type that in. But it's like it was crazy to me when you showed me that.
And I give my apology to former GM for trading a first-round pick for him because I thought this was because we originally
no more storm in the front office.
We originally drafted him and then traded him away, and I just really because he was a pick 15. But listen, he came in. We all thought as a Penguins fan he was going to pan with Crosby, but he was actually opposite. He's panning out with Malkin, and Penguins look like a Stanley Cup team from 3 years ago. Everything's back. The defense, the goaltending, the scrappy offense is back. But, Caleb, that was it for me from NHL. Yeah, I'll let you get in college basketball.
Let me ask you something, though, because this is always something I've wondered about hockey before I get into NCAA. So, like, it feels like the last couple years the Penguins have kind of been out of it, right? Have they made the playoffs the last couple years?
Every year.
They have
missed one since, like, 2005.
Okay, but how far did they make it last year?
Last year we lost in the play-in against the Canadiens.
And what about the year before?
Got swept in first round.
Okay, so here's my thing, because it feels like in hockey, it can be like any year. It like 8 seeds beat 1 seeds in the first round sometimes. It's like you never know when it's your year. So like, how do you gauge your feelings as a hockey fan when you're like, you could be running through the league in the regular season and get bounced out in the first round like it's nothing. Like, and the year before you might be dead last in the standings, and then the next year you might be like a 4 seed in the playoffs and make it to the conference. Like, how do you gauge that as a fan? How do you keep your emotions in check? And maybe you're the wrong person to ask that because you do get very emotional. But it just in terms of hockey alone, how do you kind of gauge that? How do you kind of manage your emotions?
It's a little bit hard because, of course, I want to see Penguins win every year. But, something understanding hockey is, listen, hockey is super hard to play. Skating, energy, hitting. Goalies take 80% of the goal. You got to make sure that you hit that shot perfectly to get in. It's just super hard because you see teams with talent.
Yeah.
Example, Capitals every year, who I think are more talented than Penguins.
They should with Ovechkin, they should have more than one title that they got for sure.
And it's just super hard because, like back when Penguins won first cup in 2016, we were dead last actually halfway through the season. We were so bad. Nobody was like, they're no making. They won the cup.
You can just turn around like that.
It's just unpredictable sport. And it's a little bit hard because when you have like when you have like 2 all-stars and then you have like 2 mid all-stars and you have like rising stars, it hits hard when they're losing playoff. But the thing that keeps me going is Penguins are a great organization, and I know next year they'll be right back up, so there's no need to worry.
All right, good stuff there, Alex. That was really good. So like you said, NCAA. So here's the thing, Duke fan here, and this will kind of lead me into what I'm talking about, but. Again, Duke fan here, and when the news came down yesterday that Duke had a positive case within their program, I was really frustrated because, for those of you who don't know, Duke was actually from the 8 conference tournaments are starting this week, and the ACC tournament's in Greensboro, North Carolina, and Duke was commuting back and forth from Duke campus to Greensboro instead of staying in a hotel. And I was like, I don't like that. And then on Tuesday, it came out there was an outbreak within the football program, and at Duke, all the athletes are staying in the same kind of hotel area. So you got basketball players, swimmers, football players, lacrosse, anything. So they're all staying in that same thing, and I was like, I don't know if it's really smart for that to be the case and going back and forth. And who's to say that was the reason? But I just that was my first thought when. They had a positive case on Thursday and were ousted from the ACC tournament. It was like, oh, geez, like that's because they commuted. Well, today it comes out that Virginia had a positive case. So they're out. And then it came out that Kansas has a positive case. So they're out of their Big 12 tournament. And so the lesson here is there's no way around this. There's no easy answer for this. And they're going to try to play an NCAA tournament here next week. And it can happen to any one of those teams. Just because they're all going to be isolated in Indianapolis, which, by the way, we're planning on going to a game down in Indy, only an hour drive from here. So looking forward to that. But you can't. It's so hard to avoid. And I think it was a lesson for me because my initial reaction to this, and it's been a year that this thing has been going on, and I still am trying to overcome the emotion that all this stuff is out of my control, and that I don't have any control over this. And when these things happen, I just think it's the worst thing in the world to have Matthew hurt, not even playing a tournament game ever in his Duke career. Like, that just hurts me, and I get frustrated. But it's just important to remember that we don't have control over these things, and this stuff is random, and we got to deal with it. And even a year after a year of this thing going on, it's still something I think that needs to be said as we go into this tournament, because it's not going to be fluid and easy and smooth sailing. There's going to be some bumpy spots. There's going to be a team probably that gets knocked out, or probably multiple, because of COVID. I think that's just why we got to enjoy what we got. And that's kind of the thing I've realized. I think it's an important lesson for everyone to realize. But when we talk X's and O's and basketball here, a preview for my NCAA tournament picks, I am all on the Illinois Fighting Illini hype train. Kofi Cockburn, the big center down low, and Ayo Dosunmu, I think that's how you say it. I can never get his name right. I am all in on them as of now, and unless I see something that changes at the Big Ten tournament, They play later tonight against Rutgers, or I think they're playing right now, actually. Unless I see something that changes, that's probably going to be my team to win it all. But when you look around, Oklahoma State with Cade Cunningham, they're getting hot at the right time. They're playing Baylor right now in a close matchup. We'll see how that one ends up. But even if they lose this game, it seems like they're getting hot. They beat West Virginia yesterday. And then when you look around, North Carolina killed Notre Dame, beat Virginia Tech. We'll see how they fare against Florida State tonight. That's a team to look out for that could be a low seed that could make a run. And then Alexa, I haven't even talked to you about this, but Ball State did play yesterday.
I saw it.
Yes, and I was watching that game. Went to overtime versus number 1 seed Toledo. Just a tough loss in OT. But they had a really good season. I think it was hard because of COVID and everything. Obviously, it was for everybody. But to take the 1 seed into OT like that, hang with them blow for blow, I think they have a lot to be happy about. We'll see where things go next year. They're going to lose KJ Walton, Bracken Hazen, and Ish El-Amin, who was a great player for Ball State in his 4 years. But just to wrap up, I just want to reiterate that this is not an easy time, man, and it's going to be a weird tournament. But I think it's going to be a fun one, and we got to be thankful that we have this back because we didn't have it last year.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, to have all those games going on yesterday in the conference tournaments, to have that back on the same day that it was kind of ripped away from us last year was awesome. I think it was 57 games from 11 o'clock to midnight of college basketball, and that's just awesome. And this is the best month for basketball, and I just think we should all be happy that we got it back. So let's make rant session quick tonight, Alexa. You go ahead first. I'm going to make mine quick. Mine won't last that long, but you go ahead. Try to make it quick as we wrap things up.
My rant will start with Mavs organization, particularly Rick Carlisle and Mark Cuban. Listen, love those two to death, but listen, Rick Carlisle needs to understand. Let me break it out for our audience first. Mavs, who do you think Mavs drafted? Somebody that comes on your mind? Luka? Absolutely no. Traded for him. Dirk? Traded for him. See, that's the thing. Mavs do not know how to draft. They keep drafting these guys. Tyler Bay out of Colorado, second round, doing everything great in G League. They play Thunder last night. They rest KP, they rest Luka, because it's an easy game, right? They lose. KP hates doing this. He wants to go out there and play. He wants to win. Listen, I don't care that they're playing Portland Trailblazers and Nuggets next. Listen, this game at the end of the year could make it or break it because it's an easier team. You should win those games. And Rick Carlisle needs to play those rookies. He put Josh Green last night, got good defense, made 2 straight turnovers, gets benched. How is that confidence going to be there for him when he just gets benched? They won't be confident. Mark Cuban, man up, please man up and make a trade. Don't just go out there and talk about how you love Mavericks because all time you did there was you never got Dirk any help. He took so many pay cuts, which he shouldn't have done, I think. And all you were able to do was get Chandler Parsons out there for Mr. Dirk Nowitzki. So, please man up and trade for somebody and save this. Caleb, go ahead.
Good one. So mine's short and sweet here. I'm doing a high school basketball bracket challenge with my friends back home. Shout out Matthew Clark. Shout out Carter Dominic. And so we picked Division I, Division II, Division III, Division IV. All the games that were left there in the regionals this week. So we picked those. And my Division I winner was St. Edwards. So St. Ed's, I just want to say I had a lot of respect for you as a program before this. But losing in the first round of our picks when you're my state champion is not ideal. Let's just leave it at that. So very, very upset that they couldn't close the deal versus St. Ignatius, I think they played. I don't even know who they played. But, as a program I have a lot of respect for. They've won state a couple of times. I thought they'd do it again. But 2020 and 2021, once again, coming back to bite me in the butt. And then also, my Division IV winner was Antwerp. Shout out Coach Billman. He's my he's like a second father to me. He used to coach at Bryan when I was a water boy. Love him. Shout out. But I'm not mad at Antwerp. I'm mad at the refs. Tie game. Okay, tie game with 5 seconds left. Jagger Landers drives to the foul line area. A game after hitting a step back three at the buzzer, the game before to win. Drives into the lane, and they call a charge. Refs, swallow your whistles down the stretch, please. This is the regional semifinal. Let the kids play. And when you actually watch, it's not a charge at all. So I was really upset, and they were my Division 4 winners, so they're gone. But we'll see how the rest of the thing goes. I'm hoping I can just kind of stay in contention with them so they can buy me some Sprites. That's what we put on the line. But those two things kind of irked me. It's always shout out Coach Billman. Nothing but love for him. But those refs, man, what are we doing? And that's that for rant time. Any shout outs you want to give before we head off until next week?
I'll give a shout out to somebody if I can remember who I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I'll do a shout out. I'll do a shout out to my boy Ethan Marsha from home. Known each other since sophomore year of high school. That's my boy there. So shout out to him.
Yeah, I just said a couple shout outs in that last one to Coach Billman, Clarkey, Carter. I'll give Dylan too because he's Carter's brother. But besides that, I'm gonna shout out the Marquette brothers. Thanks for getting St. John's Jesuit to state all those years by being terrible refs, according to this one guy on Twitter. Only real ones will get that reference. But no, seriously, shout out Coach Billman. That's who I'm gonna shout out because he's had to run a great program down at Antwerp. I don't even know if he listens to this, but if he does, Coach Billman, I love you. You're awesome. And keep doing great things. Keep your head up, and hopefully the Buckeyes can kind of ease the pain by making a run in the tournament. You're doing great things down in Antwerp, but keep it up. Any last things you want to say before we go?
Thank you guys for the support. We appreciate it, and that's all for me.
Yeah, please leave questions, guys. It'd be really fun if we can kind of do a thing on this show where you guys leave questions and we answer. It can be about anything too. It doesn't have to be sports. We'd love to throw anything in here. So please, in the comment section down below, leave some questions. Send some images my way that you want to be on the podcast. I know we have different cover images, and that goes for Alexis' friends too. Send them to him too. Get in touch any way possible. Just some funny cover images. I always have fun with that. So without further ado, let's send us off. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you back here next week for our March Madness special.